You may have recently or previously had orthotics prescribed for your kid. And now that you're using them, you're wondering, how often do I have to replace these? Because obviously kids grow. So this is a really easy question to answer actually, but there's multiple different steps to it. Now, the vast majority of orthotics that I prescribe to kids are actually called OTC or over the counter. So they're off-the-shelf devices that we size out to the child. The biggest reason I do that is because that's the most economical way for a family to really encourage that good health for that child. Orthotics do need to be replaced quite often in kids because they are growing, and so we don't want this to be a cost-prohibitive treatment for our families. Now, custom orthotics are better because we're customizing them and they're very specific to that child's foot. So typically once a child's growth plates have closed or they're very close to closing, the child's growth has slowed down, then a custom device actually becomes more economical because they have a much longer lifespan to them and they're better for the kid. But in general, let's just kind of talk about some of those basics when we're looking at the child's fit to the orthotic. Now, if you're just wondering or have questions about what kind of shoes or if you're using the right shoes, check out our website because we do have a lot of shoe recommendation lists, especially for children's and different sports, and how the orthotic should be fitting in the shoe. But in regards of how that should be fitting to the child's foot, we size them out when they're in the office, typically with this like blue type of orthotic. And the edge of the orthotic should be lining up with the ball of the foot. And so it should be sitting just behind the bones. I'm kind of using my palm here as an example. When I size them in the office, I do make them a little larger so that there's a little room for growth. And in general, we say that they will last about a year. That's very dependent on the child's growth. There are different growth spurts to kids, and they might shoot up. So if you see them go up dramatically or in a short period of time with different shoes, then we recommend you bring them in and we'll reevaluate. Now, since we do treat a lot of families, it's also not uncommon that we pass orthotics down. So there's one really important thing I want to point out here, that we want to make sure that we're not only evaluating whether or not the orthotic is fitting correctly, but that the orthotic hasn't fatigued. Because these plastics are plastic, heat and wear can wear. So when I flex this orthotic, you'll see it barely even moves and it's very, very stiff. So it's really holding that foot up nicely. As we use them and as they break down, they almost become flexible and you can kind of bend and move these around. If that's the integrity of that orthotic, then we shouldn't be passing it down to the next sibling. We should really just be replacing them. So if you have old orthotics, please bring them in. I'm happy to evaluate them and I'm happy to recycle them for your family if it works out for us to do that. Now, in contrary, when we use a custom device, we can use higher grade plastics in it, and so that wear out or breakdown is much less common. So for high school aged children, this is kind of my go-to at that point because it really has that integrity and it holds up nicely. We can also add other materials to make it more comfortable or address different problems. So we have a good time and flexibility with that. Custom orthotics are never something we can pass down or use with sibling members because they're to that child's foot. And so we may not be addressing the right things if we move it on to the next child. So if you're still concerned or if you think that your family or child has kind of jumped in sizes, go ahead and call our office. We'll reevaluate. We'll get you fitted for that new orthotic as possible. If you have multiple children that need to be evaluated, we are totally happy to bundle those appointments together so you're not running back and forth. We're used to seeing entire families all at the same time. I hope you found this information extremely helpful. If you have more questions, visit our website where we have a lot more information.